Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Iyori Folari. Thank God it's Friday. Hope we meet you well. Okay, so we can continue. We have another week. I guess you all know what we mean, in the sense that if there hadn't been the postponement of the governorship and state assembly elections by another week from the 11th to the 18th, then we wouldn't have been able to, talk about the kind of thing we wanted to talk about today. It would have been in the realm of quote-unquote partisan politics, and everybody was supposed to stop that, on Thursday, and don't bring that on Friday, because the election would have been tomorrow had nothing changed. But here we are, a fine morning to you again. Well, my guest this morning is Bisi Adegbuyi. He's former Postmaster General of the Federation, and he's a legal practitioner as well. Bisi, welcome.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Nigerians.
Our pleasure that you could come. You've always been a grassroots person. Let me put it that way.
Absolutely.
You've always been a grassroots person. You have contested in the past for a senatorial seat. I don't know where you'll be going next, but you're active in there. So it seemed to us that as an old friend of the house, you're a fine person to, talk about, after the election, the way forward, the task ahead of the incoming administration.
Thank you, Uncle Yori. Let me first and foremost congratulate the President-elect, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for his victory at the polls, and his vice presidential candidate, who is now the vice president-elect, and Nigerians for their resilience, doggedness, and commitment to democratic ideals in spite of, challenges. And the APC northern governors, who decided that in the spirit of equity, justice, and fair play, and in order to try to build a nation, manage diversity, the southern part of Nigeria should produce the presidential candidate and subsequently the president-elect. I thank you all, those statesmen.
Which came from a sort of a political negotiation.
Yes. Politics is about settlement negotiation. Nation building is also the same. Uncle Yori, we have mismanaged diversity in Nigeria, but there are ways to go about that. That is that. Mr. President-elect, let me quote you from your book, sir. Financialism, drawing water from an empty well. That is where we are now. I've read it. You are a dogged fighter. You are a grandmaster. Now, elections all over the world are heavily, they contest for power with all their might, publicity, and all of that.
And it isn't always pretty.
It's not. The struggle for power, the struggle for the soul of Nigeria is not a tea party. And therefore, pragmatic politician like Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is a grandmaster, should be commended for his doggedness. So also for the opposition, because without opposition, you are not likely to have a democracy that will give equal opportunities, engender growth, and sustainable self-development. Now, setting an agenda for Mr. President-elect: reforms, reforms, and reforms.
Okay, at that stage...
Reform of the economy.
At that stage, you will continue, but at that stage, I wanted to throw in the fact that when I introduced you, many will know that you're the former Postmaster General, but nowadays, you are more closely linked or identified with GAIN, which is an acronym for Grassroots Addressing an Identity Network. And it says here that initiatives that drive growth.
Absolutely, sustainable growth. And I was going there.
Because so when is the word growth that triggered
me. Yeah, when I said reforms, reforms, reforms. This will encapsulate security, economy, how to grow the economy, and then how to reduce poverty. Much of the things we talk about, poverty, health, access to education, access to healthcare, access to how you live your life, are all down to one thing: giving an address to people. Let me demonstrably say it. In the United Kingdom, as we speak, because of the soaring prices of gas, X amount of money are being paid ongoing to cushion the deleterious effect of the soaring gas prices owing to the USSR, Russia, and Ukraine war. Now, without an address, validated address, which is hidden under the NI in UK, you can't have access to all of this. Same thing in the US, it is called Social Security. Social Security number is tied to a validated address. So let me set agenda for Mr. President.
Wait, because you went there.
Yeah.
You just quickly mop up our own national identity number that, it suddenly became a big deal. You couldn't do anything if you didn't have one. But it's not linked, is it, necessarily to an address?
So, the shortcoming of name, which can be improved upon, that is what we call curable defect, is that you must integrate name to a physically verifiable and address that you can validate, as they do in other jurisdictions. In UK, it is called proof of address. In the US, it is called address validation. Okay?
And in Nigeria, it is called?
In Nigeria, we hardly do address verification of...
Because banks do it.
They do it. Let me just explain. Before I became Postmaster General, addresses in Nigeria were analog. So banks were verifying analog addresses of 15 to 20%.
Okay, they come on foot to the place and make inquiries. Is that what you're calling analog?
Addresses in Nigeria are still analog, brick and mortar.
Okay.
They are analog, brick and mortar. Whereas in other jurisdictions, cutting-edge technology, bespoke ideas, touching and concerning the processes that would lead to digitization of your addressing system and identity management. These are sine qua non for one, fighting insecurity. Two, creating wealth. Three, access to good things of life in line with the Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations. Nigeria trained me. I won an award for NIPOST in partnership with private sector tech guys in Nigeria in 2018 in the category 18 of World Summit on Information Society, which is leveraging on ICT to creating e-employment. WISIS is an affiliate of International Telecommunications Union, a specialized agency of United Nations. That is an imprimatur of United Nations to an idea that bright tech guys, the digital natives, provided in Nigeria. It's homegrown. It may well be a discussion for another day.
It may well be, because if I'm creasing my brows, because there are one or two things that I wanted to
go ahead.
Find out about it. You just explained.
I'm on your parade. Go ahead.
You just explained that and I don't want to spend too much on this, apart from the fact that it is part of setting an agenda for the next administration, the task ahead.
So the reforms I mentioned,
yes,
reforms, political reforms all over the world, foreign direct investments that we saw.
We want a lot of that.
Wait a minute, sir, please, let me articulate this thought. Foreign direct investments follow reforms all over the world. Reforms of your economy, reforms of your security system. You need to have a country before you can grow your economy, isn't it? So, Nigeria is in a state where the fault lines are being exposed. And we must gather men and women, young and old, to come up with ideas on how to manage diversity. Chief Emeka Nyoko is there. Tanko Yakasai is there. With due respect, all old men. Baba Afe Babalola is there. Quite a number of them. I can't just be... There are so many. Professor Bolaji Akinyemi is there. Let's consult people who know how to manage diversity. So once you need to heal this nation.
I'm talking about the elders.
Yes. The wisdom of the elders, admission of the wisdom of the elders, and the exuberance and youthful knowledge of the digital natives, the young entrepreneurs who are owners of MSMEs. We must devise something that have captioned youth engagement strategy. We can redirect the energy of our youths who are angry, living with the system, understandably so. Remember, Hillary Clinton once called some people coalition of discontents. We have them in Nigeria. They are unhappy, evidently so. But there are ideas that will be tech-driven, that will mobilize their energy into nation building. They need to be guided. They have spoken loudly, and therefore, we must look at a situation where Nigeria must not fail Africa in such a manner that Lagos, the fifth largest economy in Africa, must not also fail Nigeria. They are intertwined, not mutually exclusive. Therefore, once you embark on political reforms, based on the fact that we want to heal the nation, let other people who are managers of economy, digital economy, mind you, driven by tech, artificial intelligence, bespoke ideas, people who have antecedent of running businesses, and the Grandmaster is one of them anyway. You know his background. So I'm saying that if you don't fix politics, people say fix politics. It is just a metaphor for reform your political processes so that we can enjoy what is called sustainable development, inclusive growth. Don't leave people behind. And there are tools that we can use. Can I just address this from the background of being a lawyer and a tech enthusiast and health and nutrition enthusiast? I've veered into many areas when I got whimsically removed as Postmaster General. That is a story for another day. But here is the case. Check the history of, or the trajectory of, or the economy of 20 most developed countries in the world. Why do they have developed postal administration? Mention them. Let me be the interviewer. Switzerland, US, China, just mention them. Which means that there is a nexus. There is a connecting link between development, reduction of poverty, and the postal administration. So people who don't know the dynamics of post-administration will just be talking about selling of stamps. It's understandable. And I can say this, before I became Postmaster General, I had no idea about our address because I grew up in Ibadan. NW1/333 Chief Agbaje Memorial Street, Aye Ibadan, Northwest Ibadan. From there, moved to SW8.
Which is an analog address.
Oh, up till now, that's what they still use.
That's what they still use. And
Yeah.
you said that all of this is analog. And a lot of what you've said actually is going in the direction of, you hear the complaints from the youth, sort of me formulating it, that, look, they don't speak our language.
Yeah.
So, Ashwaju has said, I hear you loud and clear.
Good.
In other words, this is a language that can be learned.
Yeah.
You know. So maybe this seems to be what you're talking about.
So you have Nigerian youths, they are brilliant. Demographically, they are in the majority. 60, 65, as the case may be. Statistics nowadays, when you say it, they can argue. But for the purpose of this discussion, we have raw data evidencing unquestionably cogent, credible, convincing evidence they are in the majority. So what do? You think after the box to come up with ideas on how to mobilize them. Look, these are guys who are owners of startups. Thank God.
Because this is where they'll gravitate to. When you hear your own language,
Yeah.
and in this case, the youth entirely as a tribe in Nigeria, they have a language. It doesn't matter whether you're Hausa, Igbo, Hausa, Kanuri, Fufu, or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you're a youth, you think differently.
Yeah.
You think differently.
So
from the way our parents talk.
that's why you need to communicate with them in a language they understand.
Indeed.
Don't take my words for it. United Nations just predicted that e-commerce in Africa is bound to grow by 50%. That is an exponential growth. United Nations, it's not me.
Are we ready?
So, we are ready. We have guys who are in the business who can drive the process. But what drives e-commerce? Payments, logistics, and finally, addresses, because you need to know the people, the location of the people where you're going to deliver your parcels and packages. Korean logistics companies, I engaged them when I was Postmaster General. The statistics now is about 20 to 25 to 30% of their profits. They lose it to failed delivery or inability to fulfill delivery. That is the work of our addressing system. Now, this is what I am not going to do for a living, and therefore it can't be free of charge. So, in closing regarding how to mobilize the youth, the youth of Nigeria, I have children at home. These guys are cosmopolitan, and we must begin to learn how to play cosmopolitan politics.
Because they
without, for God's sake, endangering local peculiarities. The youth of Nigeria must not walk in the wrong direction.
At this stage, let me bring in a viewer has called in. Good morning, Mr. George, calling in from Ikeja.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling.
Good morning to your guest.
Yes.
Good morning.
Uncle Yori, I remember your guest had been on this program before when he was bringing some innovation to post office administration. I think this is the time we can approach the coming administration with such technology. Secondly, Uncle Yori, the northern governors, as we have always discussed on this program, they have set a tone for national unity, equity, and national integration. I think it would be nice for the country to sustain it. Right now, Uncle Yori, there is some horse trading going on at the National Assembly about who becomes the next Senate President and the Speaker. I'm not a member of the APC, but in the interest of equity and national integration, I would suggest to the APC that has the majority of members in the Senate that they should zone this Senate presidency to the southeast. We are hearing names of people who are from the north coming to the forefront in that list. I, as a person, it's just my own opinion.
Yeah, I get you.
It ought to be zoned to the. And then what happened to the APC in 2015? That somebody went to the Senate, hijacked it, and for the first 4 years, the president could not do anything. That's why you should not allow that to happen this time around.
Okay.
It's just a recommendation.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. And it's a segue, and I think it's a useful one. I'm sure you'd love to comment.
Thank you for your contribution. Spot on. I'm not looking for appointments. I can serve Nigeria, serve my country in various capacities. I can be at the back end, offering advice, solutions, cutting-edge ideas on how we can leapfrog and propel Nigeria, which unfortunately was described by a foreign journalist. I was almost shedding tears. Africa's tallest midget. Let Nigeria rise. Just like we're saying, Greater Lagos arising through its conurbations of towns, urban, semi-urban areas surrounding Lagos, thriving together, prospering, and secured through ideas that are propelled by 21st century digital economy. Same is applicable to Nigeria.
All right, you'll continue. Let me bring in Benjamin, who has called in from Oyo State. Good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning, Mr. Ayori.
Thank you for calling in. Good
You are
morning.
well done, sir. My regard to your guest over there.
He can hear you.
Thank you. Good morning, sir.
I just want to bring in these 2 points. One, all the great economists we had in the past that formulated assumptions and policies that we are now using, they have used their own sense to have done that. And it will not be right for us to solely depend on the formulated policies without formulating our own policies that suit our own economy. If somebody is advocating or campaigning for laissez-faireism or capitalist economy, in an economy where people are behaving in an insanity manner, whereby I want to live in an affluence of your own life. That is, I want to cheat you to make my own living. And you are now telling me that government should not intervene in such an economy. I think it doesn't work. So what I'm trying to bring out here is that my advice to Asiwaju is that, one, to control this economy, there must be government involvement. Everybody is increasing the price of his own commodity day by day. Whereas government should have a board that will be regulating this. Maybe they'll go to where they are telling us, if we don't have much rice here, they are selling 6,000 over there. How much will it convey? I mean, how much will we use to bring it back down here? Set a target of profit. And you set the particular that nobody can sell this particular commodity above this price. That's number one. Number two, why do we have professors of in headlines and other things? Now there will be an introduction of a disease or whatsoever, and we'll just be depending on the drugs they are bringing for us from abroad. We cannot produce our own here. What do we know they have mixed with that can even cause us to misthink, to misbehave, to do whatever? That is even happening to our youth nowadays.
Okay.
So please.
Mr. Benjamin, I get you. And Asiwaju Bisi Adegbuyi has also got you. Thank you very much for calling in. I think he was reading to that thought about government doesn't have any business in business.
So, for me, it's an admixture of both.
Because he's saying he disagrees with that.
I didn't say that.
No, he, Mr. Benjamin.
Yes, he has the right to disagree with it. And I also agree with him that it must be an admixture of welfareism, market-driven economy, and necessary intervention when government sees that the economy is going in a manner that if you leave it to free market. Sorry, I have a little knowledge about this because in my master's level, Professor Akin Oyebode supervised my structural adjustment program within the framework of international economic law. It was all about IMF and Bretton Woods institution. Asiwaju should not allow one size fits all. No. You must tweak your economic policies to suit local peculiarities. Let me mention this. In an election year that was competitive, a winner has emerged. Those who lost have a right to agitate, but we must be law-abiding.
Follow prescribed
and
routes.
follow the processes. Withdrawal of subsidy. We have practically built consensus around that. In an election year, that's going to happen. The third one, you're going to organize population census in an election year. That is not only double whammy, like Americans would call it, that's triple whammy. So you should find out, the president-elect should find out how to navigate those landmines, because all the three aforementioned processes or programs usually open up our fault lines.
Okay, let's...
I'm not saying we shouldn't have census,
I hear you. We're going to come and talk a bit more
but
about
timing
it.
is important.
Welcome back, and my guest this morning is Asiwaju Oderemo Bisi Adegbuyi, former Postmaster General of the Federation. As he said, it's another day how that job came to an end. But let's pick up on what we sort of left off as we were going to break. I think Mr. Benjamin had called in from Oyo State and talking about, well, this whole free market economy, which is a very, very, very popular, some would say intellectual concept. But he was saying, that is Mr. Benjamin calling in from Oyo State, that government can't totally hands off business. Okay, let's talk about that a bit. When Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was talking to the business community in Lagos, one of the things that he's quoted, one of the things that he said, well, he didn't say read my lips, but he could have, for the kind of effect, read my lips. Fuel subsidy must go. Up to there. Now, I have my own issues on reviews that are coming out. Chatham House, that all of the presidential candidates went to. Chatham House has done its review, and I felt that the review I saw, my own personal, individual, one-person opinion, is that it was a very hostile kind of review. And they threw in there this whole question of removing subsidy, implying that actually it might not be doable once the president-elect arrives in office. Your thoughts?
So, we have practically built consensus regarding issues touching and concerning removal of subsidy.
When you say consensus, that we've agreed that it has to be done?
We have not agreed.
You said we built consensus.
Consensus building.
Okay.
The three major contenders before president-elect emerged, all said they were going to remove subsidy. What further consensus is that?
Okay.
Uncle Yoriso, let me go. My opinion.
Well, before you go, let me add Reverend Dominic, because I feel...
You are not going to allow us to articulate this issues.
But it is the format of our
That's
program.
the tradition. I don't want to take over your program from you.
You are not a stranger to our program. And it's probably going to be a fuller question for you to respond to. Morning, Reverend Dominic.
Good morning, Chief Yori.
Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Dr. Bisi.
I'm not doctor. I'm simply Mr. Bisi Adegbuyi is my name.
Okay. I know you very well. You're a man of letters. You are an intellectual of international repute. Let me say this, Yori. Something happened in 2015 when we fought about APC. Myself, George, Alaji, Jacob, and most of us. In 2015, Bisi came in as a postmaster. I listened to him one of his presentations, and I said, oh, that take us to message war. How we know it, he was removed. But somebody had been in this government for 8 years. Minister of Education, I want to mention his name, who about since he came into power, that the numbers of children out of school in the north, he have not removed anyone. He has set failure. He's still in this government. But intellectuals like this man were pushed away. Let me set agenda for Ashwaju. The first thing he will do is to balance the government by appointment. The worst thing that happened to APC and Buhari, it was that he shipped some part of nations out of Nigeria, which you know, that caused us the pain we have today. George have alluded to that. If anything must balance, Senate president must come from the southeast. Election has come and gone, no matter what happened. But I trust Ashwaju, and I trust Yorubas when they're in power. Honestly, when a Yoruba man is in power, he knows how to balance government. Take it or give it to Obasanjo. When Obasanjo was in power, no man talk about, discrimination in power balancing. But this man, our father called Buhari, has done worse to that. When Ashwaju comes, the first thing he must do is to bring this nation as divided. And I know he will do it. When he was in Lagos, he brought everybody on board that made Lagos there. From southeast, from the north, from the west. The man called the Minister of Interior today. You know where he come from? He was the engineer that brought the bridge we saw, what we call Sulere Bridge, in somewhere at the sort of there. And everybody have plotted it. What I'm trying to say, Ashwaju will do well, but let him not follow the old APC that makes some of us stupid. Today I'm still under attack because I voted APC. Some of us, like, I'm not looking for appointments, I'm comfortable. But most of us are supposed to be a foot soldier for this government to give them information that beyond politics so it can succeed. Good morning, Mr. Bisi. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Reverend Dominic. Okay.
For me, where I come from in Yoruba land, and I have no apology for that. I have respect for other ethnic groups. When I was Postmaster General, my essay on tech was somebody from Southern Kaduna. My essay on social media, Makantari from somewhere in Kano or thereabout. My essay, so we can do the balancing. We are all friends. We are all brothers and sisters, but we must identify and respect our differences. Now, I don't want to deal with the prejudices of the past. President that is in office has done his bit. He has legacy and signature projects that you cannot deny him of. So, I respect him. He has good health. Now, for me, let's go back to the issue of subsidy. When an elder stumbles in Yoruba land, he takes a look at the back. What happened? When an adolescent stumbles, or a youngster stumbles, he keeps moving forward. Let's just see how we can balance the two. In my view, subsidy should be removed, subject to two things. And I want you to please hear me very clearly. I do not think with the way we are, we can do 100% removal of subsidy. I think it should be done in phases. My view, I may be wrong, please don't crucify me, that's my view. In the event that the president-elect is desirous of removing subsidy wholly, totally, then we must think out of the box to deploy social intervention program driven by technology, auditable, that we can trail. It is beyond buying buses for mass transit. In other jurisdictions, I mentioned it to you, they paid money into people's directly into their account, subject to identity and address validation.
I mean that.
I was exposed to both to local and international travels. Whatever I might have spent or the government have spent on me, just one program of digital address and address validation will pay off because Saudi Arabia spent $700 million on this project. Ghana there spent $2.4 million and they pay $400,000 on a yearly basis.
To do what?
Ask them in Ghana. This is Nigeria.
You said after paying 2-point-something million, they are now paying $400,000.
It is very controversial. So don't let us. Let's
okay.
mind our business.
Okay.
This is Nigeria.
Okay.
How to go about it is what I'm talking about.
So if there's going to be, as Ashwaju said, a removal of subsidy once his administration takes off, you are saying it goes beyond what we call palliatives here.
Oh, certainly, certainly. Remember, we have started this thing from 1986 during the former military dictator's administration. Structural adjustment program, removal of subsidy, diversification of the productive base of the economy, liberalization of trades. As much as I respect those, you must ensure that local peculiarities are taken care of. You have young men and women who own unicorns. You should try and bring them into government to head research institutions. We must do research. Health is wealth. There are professors out there, molecular biologists, scientists, who can look out for homegrown solutions to our health problems. An epidemic is about to happen. I'm taking you to health now. You know, I told you.
An epidemic is about to happen.
Yes, it is called resistance of bacteria to conventional antibiotics.
Okay.
People are
at this stage,
already commissioning projects in that. I'm going to be on a webinar this afternoon with African experts.
Okay. Well, Alhaji Subaya, first of all, apologies to you, sir, in Ali Mosho for keeping you waiting, but you understand. Please go ahead now, sir.
Okay.
Security is important. We need to talk about security.
Good morning to you and good morning to your guests.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much. First of all, Mr. Yori, it is like, I would say I'm overwhelmed, with your analysis of your guests. I'm seriously overwhelmed. In fact, I will not take anything today because my tummy is full with the analysis of your man. Do you agree with this, Mr. Yori? Nigeria is blessed with both human and every resources. You see, and that is why I would tell you that enough is enough for Nigeria suffering. Nigeria suffer enough. I want to address my point to area of reform, which your guest mentioned. See, like I said, enough is enough for Nigeria suffering. Look at the area of petroleum. You understand? Look at what we are suffering. This is a better country, and at the same time, look at the impact of finance. So you see, what I'm advising Asiwaju, like your guest said, Asiwaju is, I know he will try. I will try to, we will try to perform, but at the same time, I want to say enough is enough for the suffering of this country. Let Asiwaju put the right peg at the right hole. Demand the people that can perform in terms of reality. You see, that is what I'm concerned. Nigeria has suffered enough. We are still suffering, but we want the suffering to put an end. You look at what you are suffering now in terms of finance. Look at what what is the benefit of the Naira reform? We are achieving that. Does it mean that the Naira jack up? Look at what Nigerians are suffering. So I'm appealing to Asiwaju that we are suffering enough, and we will hope he's going to perform, and we want him to put an end to this our suffering. Enough is enough for this firm. Let him put the right peg at the right hole, the right people at the right position, so that Nigerians can be buoyant. We can be proud of our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alhaji Subaya, calling in from Ali Mosho. Alhaji Subaya wants round pegs in round holes, not the proverbial square pegs in a round hole.
I cannot agree more with him. The president-elect has a record of identifying and working with people of great talent, both men and women, young and old. But we must put the youngsters there now. Security is the bedrock of any economy, and we need to change the approach to security. In Nigeria, in my view, and I stand to be corrected, if you resolve the problem of identity with digital addresses, you are sure to reduce insecurity by 40 to 50%. Don't take my word for it. The solution we have been talking about was presented to the Office of National Security Advisor. Let us deploy technology to wage war against insecurity. You have some land areas all over Nigeria that had not been productively cultivated. Let people who have land mass and criminals are turning them to safe haven shed with. Let the federal government of Nigeria, the constipated 68 items in the exclusive list. President-elect, you are known to be a federalist, a reformist. Devolve powers to the interland. Not to state in my view, I stand to be corrected, with due respect, we have 6 zonal arrangements in Nigeria from 1995, and we seem to have built consensus, I'm using that word again, around it. Can we just approach our governance around zonal issues? After all, the people who made this happen, the APC governors, the northern governors, and the southern governors, as the case may be, because now that the president has emerged, all of us must claim it, including but not limited to those people who did not vote for him. He's the father of all. United Arab Emirates, that's a country consisting of 7 emirates, and they are so united, each running its show. For goodness sake, Abu Dhabi has Etihad, that's an airline in it, and Dubai has Emirates, but they belong to the same. Our people, the northern governors that I'm talking about, Governor Inuayaya, I'm calling him out now, perfect gentleman. No hair around him. When we went to Gombe to launch the sports game of night post, he attended. Notwithstanding the fact that he was a sitting governor. And he has been quoted to have said that, let us be our brother's keeper. Revenue allocation is a tricky issue. But now that we have seen or discovered oil and gas in that basin between Bauchi and Gobe, we can create a kata out of Nigeria.
Let me bring in, I don't know if it's our caller, Jide in the UK. Good morning to you. Oh dear, did I leave it too long?
Going to be around.
Okay.
My contribution is going to be around the issue of subsidy removal.
Okay, go on.
Give you an example. I work in the transport industry here in the UK. I'm not going to mention the exact government that I work with in the transport sector. But what we've been running in Nigeria for so long, not sustainable for any economy. And the government continue to subsidize those rich by the rich, because majority, the people that benefit most, subsidy the elites. Ones that have 2 generators in their house, pro jump, 24 electricity, 4x4 vehicles lined up their convoy. Common man does not, in any form or way, enjoy subsidy as much as the rich people, and that is why they do not want subsidies removed. TV London, for example, the government subsidized transportation by contracting out routes to companies that run them. Diesel that they use in fuel, those vehicles, are subsidized and dumped at their garages. The cost for those diesels are different from the normal diesels you buy on the street. That diesel is found in a private car. The car will be impounded, destroyed. The owner of that vehicle will go to jail or pay a fine. Farmers in the UK also have their own colored diesel that is subsidized. Nigerians need to wake up. The rich men are using the common man to fight government for their own selfish reasons. Government should have taken out subsidy, direct the money into transportation. It could be hub, it could be a regional-based transport network or state-based transport, where they contract it out to private companies and they have indicators, KPIs and SLAs to ensure that services is rendered directly to the common man. Nigerians need to wake up and understand that we cannot get anything for free, but the government can intervene and make life easy for the common man, not the rich men. The percentage of rich people in Nigeria is less than 5%. They are holding Nigerians to ransom by publishing or pushing information against government whenever government tries to take action on things that they should take action on. I mean, I'm sure that President-elect Adegbuyi Tinubu will do the right thing because I believe he has the capacity to deliver for the common man. We need to make sure that there's enough public enlightenment information for the common people for them to understand the benefits of subsidy removal and directing the funds that would have normally gone into subsidy directly into the common transport.
Well, thank you very much, Jide. I really appreciate your call, Jide. Thank you very much. I let it go on that long because I thought it was important. Thank you very much for calling in. Go ahead. Ashwin.
Well, I agree with most of the submissions of Jide. The fat cats are just smiling to the banks at the expense of Nigerian people. But for me, I want to talk about solutions. We keep talking about the problems of Nigeria. So we should talk about solutions. I agree that subsidy should be removed. My own view, it should be done in phases.
Okay, yes.
Secondly, if you must then remove it wholly, fully, then a bespoke cutting edge or ideas that will engender social welfare, take care of the poor who are holding the wrong end of the stick should be looked into. And we have ideas that we can make available to the president-elect at the appropriate time. Let us heal Nigeria.
Okay.
We must.
You know, we've got to wrap up.
Yeah, that's why I'm wrapping up.
Yes.
We must heal Nigeria. There are too many divisions. Well, let's be conciliatory. People who want to go to court should go to court. So, and finally, Lagos can do better. They will do better. Governor Sanwo-Olu should be supported to continue in office based on what we have seen and the fact that some of us are coming with ideas that the youth would subscribe to. Thank you.
We really have to, wrap up now. But thank you very much because you brought quite a number of ideas into this concept of, setting an agenda for the incoming administration. Really thank you for that.